Welcome to episode 19 of Today's Candor. I'm your host, Barika. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to tune in. In this episode, I'm discussing my latest reel. I know I said in that reel, if you follow me on Instagram, if you already watched that reel, I said that this episode will probably not be about that topic. The devil is a lie. I changed my mind. I said, you know what? No, let's go ahead. Let's discuss this. So for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, please go ahead and do so you can continue to connect with me and continue to hear what I have to say in between the weekly episodes. So that reel on Instagram was about not trying to bring up your feelings when somebody else has come to you to express themselves. And for so many reasons, this is important, right? So this goes for all types of relationships, friendships, intimate relationships, family, coworkers, colleagues, whatever the case may be. No matter what the connection is, if someone needs to come to you to express something, whether it's feelings, something that's been on their mind, something that might just be weighing heavy on them, they want to have a talk, allow them to do so. They've come to you, they've initiated this conversation, and they want to communicate about it. That is not the time for you to say, well, let me tell you how I'm feeling as well. Absolutely not. Because then you can't even absorb and process and digest what this person is trying to convey to you. There's no way that you can. For example, so let's just take any random hypothetical, right? Let's just say, if I go to someone close to me, like I said, whatever type of relationship it is, if I go to someone and say, hey, lately I haven't felt like a priority. And the person responds, well, I don't feel like a priority either. Well, hello. Well, what are we doing here? And there's absolutely no way that you can hear what the person is saying and take it all in, because you're trying to form your response. So you're thinking while the person is talking, the person who has, person A is the person who has initiated the conversation, correct? And if person B is sitting there and their reply has been, well, I don't feel like the priority either, or I don't feel this way, and they're trying to express their feelings or whatever is on their mind at the same time, person B, you're sitting there, you're not even listening. You're not comprehending. And you all remember how they used to do in Charlie Brown when someone is talking and they, it's like one ear and out the other, the womp, 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 womp. That's all person B is hearing, because certainly you're not hearing what the person is saying to you. You're not taking it in so that you can figure out a solution. And what this person is trying to just say, hey, I'm not feeling great because of this, or I'm not, this isn't working for me, or hey, can we work on this? Whatever the conversation may be about. So it's rude. That should be the obvious. But it's also very disrespectful. And then it comes off as very combative, very defensive. It's like, how all of a sudden now you choose this very specific moment that I come to you and say, I don't feel, or this is what's on my mind, or this is what I've been carrying. You choose this specific moment to reply the same and say, well, I've been feeling that way too. I don't like this. This bothers me as well. How? It hasn't bothered you. You haven't come to me, but you want to choose now when I come to you, because you're trying to be defensive and put it on the other person. We're not going to sit up here and play the blame game. Communication, without communication, you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. And then you have to factor in timing is everything. I know sometimes we may get emotional and we say, I'm not worried about timing. Like, I have to get this off my chest. But if you can, timing is everything. Good communication, efficient communication, timing, and your approach. Those factors there, unless you're just dealing with a crazy person who doesn't want to listen to anything and they're always, they have to always be in the right. But if you're dealing with somebody who is in their right mind, This will prevent so much tension. It will prevent so much stress and strife and drama. So not only how you're communicating, the way you're communicating, but also just that effectiveness and being able to hear the other person out first, the person who has initiated the conversation. Of course, you may have some questions. Don't cut the person off. Don't cut them off with how you've been feeling. Of course, if they ask you like, hey, is there anything you want to express? Do you want to, like, is there something you need to tell me? Have you been feeling the same way? Do you feel like my actions may have provoked something, some behavior in you? But by no means, don't try to tell the person, well, I've been feeling that way too. And for some people, that causes this feeling in them. It triggers them, if you will. For some people, it might make them shut down. They may no longer want to have the conversation. They might not bring it back up ever. So we have to realize when we're doing these things, when we're behaving this way, it can cause other things to take place, whether it's triggering someone, whether it's some people, they might go extreme, like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. Good day, So we have to be cognizant of how we're responding when someone is trying to come to us to initiate a conversation, especially if it's about something like feelings or expressing themselves, trying to get something off their chest. It might have been something they've been holding in, and they may think this is the prime time to get it out. Now they might have been holding it in and they've thought, okay, now at this moment I can get it out. And here you go with your childish, petty response about how you feel right now. See, me, I do my best not to lose my home training. I don't want anybody to be able to get me out of character. But every now and then you have to remind people that you're not the one. And I won't lose my home training. I can't tell you the last time I've had to. But I will tell you, if I have to go there with you, I will tell you I'm not the one. And my silence might tell you that I'm not the one. I may not even have to say it. But I am the type of person, if you sit and tell me, or if you try to cut me off and tell me, express your feelings at the same time, and I've initiated this conversation, I'm most likely shutting down. I will not go back and forth with you. I will not force you to listen to me. And I may not bring it back up, depending on a few things, depending on the connection we have, depending on like the person. Those things definitely can just change how you feel about the conversation, of course, or your reaction too. So, but if you try to do that with me, no. I'm 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, I'm shutting down. Like, all right, yep, I'm good. I'm not begging anybody to listen to what I have to say. If I've approached you very calmly, very maturely, why can't you listen? There should be no issue in that. This is not the time for you to try to get whatever off your chest. You've had however long, whenever, however. But right now, no sir, no ma'am. This is not the time. Or if they don't tell you they've been feeling the same way, they'll say, oh, well, you do the same thing. Major eye roll, super side eye. And I'm keeping this one brief. This is a short one today, you all. Very brief, getting right to the point. It's very simple. Very simple communication, very simple, effective communication. And most people don't think about, oh, well, I wouldn't want that person to do that to me. If I went to, if I went to someone and said, hey, I need to talk about something, and they tried to say, well, I feel the same way too, and I'm going to go ahead and get this off my chest right now, this very moment that you are, these would be the same people who don't like it. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Stop the shenanigans. Stop them. Stop the shenanigans. So yeah, I'm keeping this one. This one's real brief, real short today. No need. You all get the point. You all know exactly if you've been doing this to somebody or if someone has done it to you before. And I have to say, before I even end this episode, let me say, for those who don't necessarily, they don't do this to people, but they feel like someone has done it to them, maybe just a tip or two on how to handle this, because I am very much a communicator. And people who don't know how to communicate drive me up a wall. Like, stop. Just stop. So maybe a tip or two for those who this is happening to. I like to not shut down because of how much of a communicator I am. I like to talk things out. I like to resolve things, and not even saying it has to happen at that very moment. Of course, like, I like to process my thoughts. I like to get my thoughts together and just make sure I'm in a good space to talk and really hash this out, whatever the issue may be. But I like not to shut down about things because that also doesn't solve the issue. So if you are a person who has gone through somebody trying to simultaneously throw their issues out or express themselves or whatever the same time that you are, instead of shutting down, just let them know, like, hey, let's talk about this later on. Maybe when you're in a better headspace, when you actually want to communicate about it, when you're willing to listen to me. Maybe, just saying that to a person, and hopefully it can de-escalate what's going on at that very moment. And then you all can come back to it and have a real conversation, because the shutting down is not going to help it. I know that's a quick, fast. We think it's a quick, fast resolution, but nothing's really solved. So, but trust me, I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult. So I'm not speaking as if it's easy, but just being able to let someone know we can speak about this another time when you're in a better headspace. When you don't think that you should diminish how I'm feeling, when you don't think that you should be dismissive. And sometimes I say, know who you're dealing with, right? Know your audience, because you also don't want someone to feel like sometimes you might be able to say those very words to someone and they're just like, all right, I get it. Let's go ahead and come back to this. But some people, you say that type of stuff like, please don't diminish my feelings or don't be dismissive, and they're ready to blow something up. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for the petty. We don't have time for the childishness. So, but, just being able to let someone know, let's come back around to this conversation so that you don't feel like you're shutting down, and maybe the other person doesn't feel like you're trying to drag them into this whirlwind, if you will. So, anywho, as always, continue to connect with me on Instagram at Today's Candor Podcast. I release reels in between releasing my weekly episodes. So those are just the smaller doses of candor, if you will. And I appreciate all the support. As usual, continue to follow, like, and share the podcast. You never know who just needs to hear a quick, unbiased perspective. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay candid.